Hey everyone,
and welcome to Haunted New Orleans.
most people come here for the food, the music, the nightlife. But today, we're stepping into the shadows. This city isn't just alive with culture, it's steeped in the dead. From abandoned hospitals to haunted cemeteries, I'm taking you to 5 chilling locations tied to tragedy, mystery, and the paranormal. So grab a blanket, maybe leave a light on.
And let's get into it.
Our first stop, the stunning ghost-filled Buckner Mansion. You might recognize it from American Horror Story.
But the real horror isn't fiction.
Built in 1856, this mansion belonged to a wealthy cotton king. But its most famous spirit? Miss Josephine, a formerly enslaved woman who stayed with the family long after the Civil War. Visitors report doors slamming, chandeliers swinging, and her ghostly figure roaming the halls. If you pass by, be polite. Miss Josephine is known to keep a close eye on strangers.
Next up,
Memorial Medical Center, forever marked by the devastation of Hurricane Katrina. When the levees broke in 2005, this hospital was cut off. No power, no rescue, no way out. Over 2,000 people were trapped for days.
at the center of the chaos,
Dr. Anna Poe, later accused of euthanizing patients who couldn't be evacuated. Charges were dropped, but the debate still rages. This story inspired Apple TV's 5 Days at Memorial, and many believe the spirits of those who died still wander those dark, decaying halls.
now we head to one of the city's most cryptic hidden gems.
The Masonic Cemetery. Dating back to the 1800s, it's the final resting place of powerful Freemasons, men of influence, and secrets. Visitors report strange orbs, sudden chills, and even robed figures that vanish into thin air. It's about 10 p.m., and it's kind of eerie thinking about all the burials that have taken place here. It's interesting how these tombs work.
The old Italian tombs are what we would go to in 1789 were much smaller, all made out of brick. However, even though the tombs have changed, the inside of the tombs haven't changed in more than 1,000 years. It really is just 2 compartments inside here, divided by a shelf. Body shows up to DeBoer Street with Morgan's name on it. They open up this stone called a closure tablet. They put the body on a gurney, they lift it up, slide it inside, roll it off to pull that gurney out, close everything up, and then Mother Nature takes over. And in our summers, it takes about 5 days, give or take, to burn that flesh right off the bone. Now, the second compartment, it gets a little tricky. And the reason why is that the French kept all the same terminology of the term that the Italians did, except for that second compartment. The second compartment is actually a 4-foot pre-dug hole. So they dig the hole first, brick up the walls, lay a foundation, build the tomb on top of it. And the Italians called that hole storage, is what it translates. Some say it translates to cabinet. The French kept all the same terminology except for it called it caveau, meaning cave. So why would the French do that? Well, we think it was because the first 90 years here, the French buried right into the dirt. 70 of those years, our bodies would rise up out of the ground and we did nothing about it. And we were under Spanish rule during this period, and we believe the French resisted. And we think it was the Catholic Church that changed the name to cave. Why? Because your remains will end up in your cave, you will resurrect out of that cave. That sounds like a very specific story out of the Bible. And when you tell a bunch of stubborn French Catholics that, you got them. When the next body shows up to be buried, you got to get the remains off the shelf. And they had this long pole, looked somewhere in between like a garden rake and a chimney sweeper. And they fed that pole all the way into the tomb and scraped all the ashes out and bones. And as soon as they got right here to the edge of the shelf, they took out a mallet and crushed them all up into smaller pieces, scooped all of that originally into a cloth bag, later a wood container, later we'd call that container an urn, and they would take that bag off the shelf, about the size of a beach ball, and then drop it down the cabinet. And you can do that process forever. You can drop bags in there forever. What really changed for New Orleans was artificial cremation. That would happen in 1963, so that's only really 62 years ago. But here's the fun part. If you've ever heard the term, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole, comes from the tool you scrape the ashes off. If you look how deep the tombs are, they're 7 to 8 feet in You need a couple extra feet out here, and what it implied is whatever you wouldn't touch was worse than touching the dead. And why? Because for 60 years we thought we got it from our dead. We learned 60 years later we get it from mosquitoes, and mosquitoes drop their larvae in water, and after that fire we started collecting water by your homes. Folks, we manufactured our own death. But what yellow fever took from us first was our children, so nothing could be worse than that. And when you say I wouldn't touch that guy with a 10-foot pole, you're saying he's worse than that. If you've ever been called a lazy bag of bones, the bag you take off the shelf to drop in a caveau meant you were as productive as a dead person. The pizza industry gets the idea of the pizza oven from this concept right here. Now, I clearly just made up that last part, but the next time you have pizza, you'll be thinking about our dead, so you're welcome.
It's more than just a graveyard. It's a place of ritual, memory, and maybe unfinished business.
Just a few blocks away stands a towering shell of the past.
Charity Hospital. For 270 years, this place treated the city's sickest and poorest.
Just take a look at the architecture on this one. It's really cool.
Tens of thousands died here. During Katrina, it became a place of horror. No power, no help, just fear and suffering. Some say the cries of the dead still echo in the halls. Heart monitors beeping, footsteps in empty rooms, figures in windows where no one should be. Abandoned? Yes. Forgotten? Never.
Our final stop?
The Katrina Memorial at Charity Hospital Cemetery. Once used for the poor and unclaimed, this site holds victims of yellow fever, flu pandemics, and Katrina.
Right now we're in the Hurricane Katrina Memorial, where tons of people who were unidentified during the devastation of Hurricane Katrina are buried in unknown graves with no names or dates.
Many of the buried were never identified. Locals report seeing shadowy figures and feeling a sorrow that clings to you after you leave.
A reminder, not every soul rests easy, especially those without a name.
The 6 mausoleums, 3 in front of us, 3 behind me, and if you'll look, you'll see no names, no dates of birth, and here originally were the 98 victims that we are unable to identify.
This graveyard is right next to the Katrina graveyard. Thousands of people buried here with no paperwork, no identity, no grave marker, just a field of dead bodies.
Now, going back as far as you can see, this is a mass grave cemetery. We're standing on the original path. You got cemeteries to your left, that's St. Patrick's over here, and you got Cypress Grove to your right. To give you a perspective, St. Patrick has 180,000. There's 150,000 here. That's 330,000 between 2 cemeteries. Cypress Grove over here has 17,000 people buried. What a big difference. Now the 2 large tombs you see in front of you over there, that's the first time in New Orleans history the oven tomb turns into that. And that was over 2 men named William Letchford on your left, Robert Schlark on your right. Both were built in 1842. Both men were very wealthy. Both men hated each other's guts. And when Letchford told a reporter, I'm going to build the best tomb in the city, he built the Gothic revival there, the pointier one. And Robert Schlark read it, said, not so fast, came to build a Romanesque Greek revival. And it's our first reality TV show called House Husbands of New Orleans.
It's said that this is one of the most haunted graveyards because most graves people get closure in their passing. In this, the spirits had no chance to make closure because they were not even able to be identified.
New Orleans lives in layers. The living, the dead, and everything in between.
Whether you believe in ghosts or not,
These places hold stories of real pain, survival, and mystery. Thanks for coming along on this haunted tour.
hit that like button, subscribe for more eerie explorations, and drop a comment with your ghost story or a haunted place you'd like me to visit next. Until next time, don't look behind you.